There is a certain kind of effort that defeats itself. You've felt it before. The harder you try to concentrate, the more your mind scatters. The more you strain to hold your attention in place, the more it slips away like water through your fingers. You sit down to work, to read, to simply be present with what's in front of you, and within moments you're somewhere else entirely. Not because you lack discipline, not because you're weak, but because you're trying in a way that creates the very distraction you're trying to escape. Welcome to the quiet path. This is a space for those who sense there might be another way. Not louder, not faster, not more forceful, but quieter. A place where we explore stillness, not as emptiness, but as a kind of clarity. Where we look at old wisdom, from the Stoics, from Japanese philosophy, from the simple observations of those who learned to see what's actually there. If you've been looking for permission to slow down, to stop fighting yourself, to find focus without force, you're in the right place. Let's sit with something together today. Something you may have noticed but never named. You wake up with a list. Things to do, things to finish, things you meant to start yesterday. You tell yourself, today I'll focus. Today will be different. You sit down, you clear the desk, you silence the phone, you take a breath, and then you try. You try to concentrate. You try to stay with the task, and almost immediately you feel it, that restlessness, that pull toward anything else. You resist, you bring yourself back, and the cycle begins. Try, drift, return, try again. By the end of an hour, you're exhausted, and you've barely begun. This is what most of us think focus is, a battle, a constant act of will, of forcing the mind to stay where we've decided it should be. We've been taught that concentration is about control, that attention is something we must wrestle into submission. And so we approach our own minds like adversaries. We grip tighter when we feel ourselves slipping. We scold ourselves when we drift. We turn focus into a fight. But what if the problem isn't that you're not trying hard enough? What if the problem is that you're trying in the first place? There's an old idea in Zen practice, one that sounds strange at first. It's this: you cannot will yourself into stillness. You cannot force yourself into the present moment. The very act of trying pushes it further away. It's like trying to smooth the surface of water by hitting it with your hand. Every effort creates more disturbance. Every attempt to control creates more chaos. True stillness, true focus, comes not from effort but from release. The Japanese have a word for this kind of striving: tsukuru. It means to make, to fabricate, to force something into being. And in many areas of life, this quality is valuable. But when it comes to attention, when it comes to presence, tsukuru is the enemy. Because focus is not something you make, it's something you allow. Think about the times when you've been truly absorbed in something. Not because you decided to focus, but because you simply were. Maybe you were reading and looked up to find an hour had passed. Maybe you were in conversation and forgot to check the time. Maybe you were walking and suddenly noticed the light, the air, the details of the world around you. In those moments, were you trying? Were you gripping your attention with effort? No, you had let go. And in letting go, you had found something deeper than concentration. You had found a kind of presence that doesn't exhaust you, a kind of focus that doesn't require force. This is the paradox we've forgotten. The mind settles when it's not being pushed. Attention deepens when it's not being controlled. Focus improves when you stop trying. But let's be honest about what makes this difficult. We live in a world that worships effort. We've been trained since childhood to believe that results come from striving, that anything worth having requires force. Rest is laziness. Ease is weakness. If you're not pushing, you're not serious. And so we carry this belief into everything, including the way we relate to our own minds. When you sit down to work and your mind wanders, what's your first response? Probably frustration. Probably judgment. You think, I should be able to do this. What's wrong with me? Why can't I just focus? And so you try harder, you clench. You grit your teeth and attempt to force your attention back into place. And for a moment, maybe it works. But it doesn't last. Because you're not working with your mind. You're working against it. The mind is not a machine. It doesn't respond well to force. It responds to invitation. It responds to space. When you try to control your attention, you create tension. And tension is the opposite of focus. Tension scatters. Tension divides you. Part of you is trying to concentrate, and part of you is resisting the effort. You become two things at once, and neither of them is present. There's a story from the Zen tradition about a monk who struggled with meditation. He would sit and try to empty his mind, to stop his thoughts, to achieve the stillness he'd heard about. But the harder he tried, the more turbulent his mind became. He went to his teacher and said, "I can't do this. Every time I sit, it gets worse." The teacher looked at him and said, "Then stop sitting to achieve something. Just sit." The monk didn't understand at first, but over time he began to see it. When he stopped trying to create stillness, stillness appeared on its own. Not because he'd earned it, but because he'd stopped disturbing it. This is what we miss. Stillness is already there. Focus is already there. Attention, in its natural state, is whole. It's our interference that fragments it. It's our effort that creates the noise. So what does it mean practically to stop trying? Because this isn't about giving up. It's not about letting your mind wander wherever it wants and calling that freedom. It's more subtle than that. It's about learning the difference between effort and force, between guidance and control, between being present and trying to be present. When you sit down to focus on something, notice what happens in your body first. Are your shoulders tight? Is your jaw clenched? Are you holding your breath? These are signs of trying. These are signs that you're approaching focus like a fight. And the first step is simply to notice, not to judge, not to fix, just to see. You might take a breath, you might let your shoulders drop, not because you're trying to relax, but because you're noticing where you've been holding on. Then, turn your attention to the task itself, but gently, not like you're grabbing it, but like you're meeting it. You're not forcing your mind onto the page or the screen or the problem in front of you. You're letting your attention settle there, the way a bird settles on a branch, lightly, naturally. And if it lifts off again, you don't chase it. You don't panic, you just notice, and you invite it back, not with force, but with patience. This is where the real practice begins. Because your mind will wander. That's what minds do, and every time it does, you have a choice. You can react with frustration, with judgment, with a violent jerk back to the task. Or you can respond with gentleness, with a quiet acknowledgement, "I drifted. That's fine, I'm here now." And you return. Not because you're disciplined, but because you're willing. Not because you're strong, but because you're patient. Over time, something shifts. The returns become easier. The drifts become less frequent. Not because you've trained yourself into submission, but because you've stopped creating the conditions for distraction. You've stopped treating your mind like an enemy. You've stopped turning focus into a struggle. And in that space, something else emerges. A quality of attention that feels less like effort and more like flow, less like concentration and more like presence. The Stoics understood this in their own way. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." But I think he meant something deeper than control. He meant that the power isn't in forcing your thoughts into place, it's in recognizing that you don't have to. You have the power to stop fighting. You have the power to let things be as they are, including your own mind, and to work with what's there rather than against it. There's another layer to this, one that's easy to miss. When we try to focus, we're often trying to focus on something we don't actually care about, or something we care about, but we're approaching it with the wrong energy. We tell ourselves we should focus, we tell ourselves this matters, but underneath, there's resistance. And no amount of trying will overcome that resistance, because the resistance is real. It's telling you something. Sometimes the problem isn't that you can't focus, it's that you're trying to focus on the wrong thing, or in the wrong way, or for the wrong reasons. And the trying is a way of avoiding that truth. You push harder because you don't want to face the question underneath, does this actually matter to me? Am I doing this because I want to, or because I think I should? This doesn't mean you can only focus on things you love. Life requires us to do plenty of things that aren't thrilling. But it does mean that if you're going to give your attention to something, you need to be honest about why. If you're doing it because it serves a larger purpose you care about, that's enough. You can find a way to meet it. But if you're doing it out of obligation, out of guilt, out of fear, then no amount of trying will create real focus. You'll always be divided. Part of you will always be pulling away. So before you sit down to focus, ask yourself, why does this matter? Not in a philosophical way, but in a real way. What's the reason I'm here? What's the purpose behind this task? And if you can't find one, maybe the answer isn't to try harder. Maybe the answer is to step back and reconsider. Because focus is easier when it's aligned with something true, when your attention has a reason to stay. Let's slow down here for a moment. Because there's something underneath all of this that we need to name, this fear we carry, this belief that if we stop trying, everything will fall apart. That if we let go of control, we'll lose ourselves in distraction. That the only thing standing between us and total chaos is this constant effort, this vigilance, this grip. But think about the things you're naturally good at, the things you do without strain. Do they feel like a battle? Or do they feel more like a conversation? More like a dance? You respond. You adjust. You're present, but not rigid. You're engaged, but not exhausted. That's what focus feels like when it's real. Not like control, but like flow. Not like forcing, but like following. And the truth is, you already know how to focus. You do it every day, in small ways, without thinking about it. When you're listening to someone you care about. When you're cooking and you notice the smell, the sound, the way the heat changes. When you're walking and you see something that catches your eye. In those moments you're not trying, you're just there. And that's the kind of attention we're talking about. Not manufactured, not forced, just present. The question isn't how to create that, the question is how to stop getting in its way. There's a phrase in Japanese philosophy, Mizu no Kokoro. It means mind like water. It refers to a state where the mind is calm and clear, reflecting things as they are without distortion. When water is still, it becomes a mirror. It shows you the world exactly as it is. But if you disturb the water, if you stir it, if you try to force it into stillness, it becomes cloudy. You can't see anything clearly. You've lost the reflection. Your mind works the same way. When you stop disturbing it with effort, with judgment, with trying, it clears. It settles. And in that clarity, focus isn't something you have to create. It's something that's already there, you just have to stop blocking it. This is why meditation practices often begin with the breath, not because the breath is magic, but because it gives you something to return to without force. You breathe in, you breathe out, and when your mind wanders, you notice and you come back. Not with violence, not with frustration, just with a quiet return. Again and again. And over time, you start to see the pattern. The mind drifts. The mind returns. The mind drifts. The mind returns. And in that rhythm, you begin to trust something. You begin to trust that you don't have to hold everything in place. You begin to trust that focus is not about control, it's about coming back. That's the practice. Not forcing yourself to stay, but learning to return. And each return is a small act of kindness. A small refusal to fight yourself, a small gesture of patience. And over time, those small gestures add up. They become a way of being. They become a kind of strength that doesn't shout, a kind of focus that doesn't strain. Let's bring this back to the everyday, because this isn't just about meditation or philosophy. It's about how you move through your life, how you approach your work, your relationships, your time alone, how you meet the moments that matter. The next time you sit down to focus on something, try this. Don't tell yourself you have to focus. Don't set up the task as a test. Just show up, sit down, look at what's in front of you, take a breath, and then begin. Not with clenched fists, but with open hands. Not with a rigid plan, but with a willingness to see what happens. And when you drift, and you will, just notice. Just say, I'm here now, and come back. That's it. That's the whole practice. And it sounds simple, maybe too simple, but it's the simplest things that we forget. We forget that presence is not a performance. We forget that attention is not a weapon. We forget that focus is not something we take by force. It's something we receive when we stop demanding it. And here's what you'll start to notice. The more you let go of trying, the more focused you become. The more you stop fighting yourself, the more your attention deepens. It's not magic. It's just what happens when you stop creating the problem. When you stop disturbing the water, it clears. When you stop straining, your mind settles, and in that settling, you find something you've been looking for all along. Not perfect concentration, not flawless attention, but a quality of presence that feels real. That feels sustainable. That feels like you. There's one more thing worth saying. This way of approaching focus, this way of letting go of force, it changes more than just your ability to concentrate. It changes the way you relate to yourself. Because when you stop treating your mind like an enemy, when you stop judging every drift, every distraction, every moment of wandering, you start to see yourself with more compassion. You start to see that you're not broken, you're not weak, you're just human. And humans have minds that wander. That's not a flaw, that's just how we're made. And when you approach that truth with gentleness rather than frustration, something opens up. You stop feeling like you're at war with yourself. You stop feeling exhausted by the effort of just being you. And that space, that ease, it allows for something deeper. It allows for focus, yes, but it also allows for peace, for presence, for a quiet kind of strength that doesn't need to prove itself. This is what the old teachings point toward. Not perfection, not control, but a way of being that's aligned with what's real, a way of meeting the world and yourself without force. And in that meeting, you find that you don't have to try so hard. You don't have to grip so tightly. You can let go. And in letting go, you discover that what you were reaching for was already there. So where does this leave us? Focus improves when you stop trying. Not because trying is bad, but because the kind of trying we've been taught creates the very problem it's meant to solve. Real focus doesn't come from force. It comes from presence. It comes from a willingness to return again and again without judgment. It comes from treating your mind not as an enemy to be conquered, but as a companion to be understood. You don't need more discipline. You don't need more control. You need more gentleness. You need more patience. You need to stop fighting yourself and start working with what's already there. And when you do, you'll find that focus isn't something you have to manufacture. It's something you allow, something you receive, something that was always available, waiting for you to stop disturbing the water. This is the path. Not louder, not harder, but quieter, steadier, more real, and it's open to you right now, in this moment. Not someday when you're better, not when you've mastered some technique, but now. You can let go, you can return. You can be here, without force, without strain, without the exhausting belief that everything depends on your effort. You can stop trying, and in stopping you can begin. If this reflection was helpful, if something here resonated, you're welcome to leave a like on this video. And if you'd like more of these quiet conversations, more explorations of stillness and calm strength, consider subscribing to The Quiet Path. This is a space that will be here, steady and unhurried, whenever you need it. Walk slowly. See clearly. I'll see you again on The Quiet Path.